I love the Punch-Out series. The exhilarating gameplay, the memorable characters, the nigh iconic soundtracks make the series one that is beloved in the hearts of many, including my own. But when people are generally talking about the Punch-Out series, they're usually talking about the classic NES game or the fantastic series revival on the Wii. But there's over 20 some odd years separating the releases between these two games. I mean, surely for a series that was so beloved, there had to be something in between those two dates, right? Well, actually, yes, as 1994 saw the release of Super Punch-Out on the SNES. But is there a reason why this game isn't as highly praised as the other ones? I mean, was it just that bad to warrant a 15-year hiatus for the series? Well, let's boot up the good old Wii U Virtual Console to find out. So what grand story is Super Punch-Out aiming to convey?
You're a boxer, here are your opponents, send their ugly mugs flying to the canvas until you reign as champion of the...
World Video Boxing Association. I guess it's run by the same folks who own the National Television Football League.
So yeah, not very deep lore, but it's no issue. On paper, it would sound like a lack of story would mean the game lacks any reason for you to go on. You know, a driving force. But the interesting cast makes up for it. While not as iconic or memorable as other Punch-Out lineups, Super Punch-Out's cast still manages to have its own charm while straddling that line of possibly being considered racist.
A good part of that charm is thanks to this game's graphics.
Being of the 16-bit era, and the latter half of it to boot, you can expect this game's graphics to be pretty good, and you'd be right. Each of the characters has a distinct look, even with characters like Bear Hugger and Mad Clown being palette swaps of each other. The sprite work is incredibly detailed. You can gather so much character just from how each of your opponents look.
It really is a testament to how good character design can be in video games.
But the sprites are one thing, the animations are another, and Super Punch-Out's animations are pretty stilted. Generally, they can be split up into wind-up, attack connection, and cooldown periods. Sure, they serve their purpose fine for the gameplay, and it isn't really distracting when you're spending so much of your time engrossed in trying to not get hit, but those who are a bit picky about their graphics may take issue with it. Everything else is alright. Personally, I'm too focused on the gameplay to take notice of much of the background stuff. And sadly, the same can be applied to the music as well. Apart from maybe the minor circuit theme, none of the game's OST really sticks in your head like that classic melody from the NES days does.
Not to say that they're annoying or anything, they're just kind of there.
But as always, this is a game we're talking about here, and gameplay is without a doubt the defining aspect of it. So what does Super Punch-Out have to offer in that department? Well, you're a boxer, so your moveset consists of a variety of different punches and dodges that are used to beat your foes. Left-handed and right-handed jabs to the face, hooks to the gut, and the ability to dodge left and right, duck, and block high and low punches. This game is all about memorizing the tells of each of your opponents and responding accordingly. I.e., if the opponent attacks from above, you duck, if the opponent leans to the left, you use the left punch, and so on. Now, some of you may have taken notice of the KO meter at the bottom of the screen. What it does is that it fills up whenever you land a punch on your opponent, and decreases whenever your opponent hits you. Now, when it's filled up, you have 4 options. If you rapidly perform a body blow, you'll do a series of fast but weak body blows, but if you hold the button down, you'll perform a slow but seriously damaging body blow, with the same, of course, applying to the uppercuts you can perform as well. Actually, thinking about it now, this is actually a lot closer to Punch-Out's arcade roots than the more iconic way that Mike Tyson's Punch-Out handles it. In my opinion, it has a much more strategic edge to it, while not being overly punishing like the other games in the series. That being said, this new way of handling powerful punches gives them less weight than before. In other games, when you got a star from landing your perfectly timed punch, it felt like a genuine reward was earned for your efforts. Even more so when you landed that star punch with an oh-so-satisfying clobber to your opponent's face. And losing them had added weight as well because of this. But because you can have access to KO punches for longer periods of time than star punches, and can therefore use them more often, the presence they carry doesn't even come close to the satisfaction of the star punch. And losing them doesn't have the weight of old either, because I know that it's only a few counter punches before I'm good to go, rather than having to wait for the right opening again. This possibly constant access to powerful punches also has the added effect of making Super Punch-Out the easiest console game in the franchise.
That being said, Super Punch-Out's difficulty is nothing to laugh at. You'll be forced to replay a lot of fights over and over and over again for the sake of memorizing each opponent's patterns. But the fights aren't terribly long, with even a 3-minute cap to boot, if it takes you that long. So you're generally back to where you messed up within, give or take, a minute or so. That means that the trial and error gameplay setup here is a bit more forgivable than other games.
And that is possibly due to a certain design mentality that will either alienate or draw in possible players. Super Punch-Out, more than any other Punch-Out game, is specifically streamlined to appeal to the speedrunning crowd, with its saving of top 8 times for each opponent, and a specific time attack mode to rematch opponents in for, of course, faster times.
And if there is any doubt as to this game attempting to appeal to speedrunners, ladies and gents, I present to you... dizzying.
Every opponent in Super Punch-Out has a hidden variable for dizzying. If you land a chain of consecutive hits, then the opponent will be dizzied and dance around the ring like a confused jackass for a short period of time. During this period of time, there is an even shorter period of the animation where if a powerful punch is landed, the opponent will instantaneously be knocked down. If you can take advantage of this mechanic, each opponent can be defeated in ridiculous times, most not even making it to the 20-second mark.
Now, if you think that would make the game too easy, well...
Wrong. That is...
It took me over 30 minutes to successfully dizzy and KO the first opponent. I give major props to the speedrunners who can consistently pull this kind of stuff off. But that's just the thing, Super Punch-Out caters to the speedrunning crowd more than any other game in the series. But that also means that if you aren't at all interested in speedrunning it, or going for those dizzy runs, then this game's replay value just went out the window.
So now we're right back to where we started, asking ourselves the question of why this game isn't as well remembered as Mike Tyson's Punch-Out or Punch-Out for the Wii. And the simple fact is, it's because it's just not as memorable. The characters are great, yes, but don't pack nearly the personality that others in the series do. And, ironically enough, by making the gameplay deeper, they give the techniques less weight and presence than before. It's still a fun game, without doubt, and one that I go back to often, but it's a B+ in an otherwise straight-A series. But before I go, I'd like to make a quick shout-out to Second Opinion. What does he do? Well, he's like me. Except better. The man knows what he's talking about, and his praise has helped motivate me to get this video out like I did. If you like my content, go check the guy out.
Either way, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, maybe you could like, comment, or perhaps even subscribe. But regardless, have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all again another time.